Are you ready? Doo-doo-doo. Hi Shane, thank you for making time. I know between you doing 3 months of night shift, it's hard for you to always make time to do this with me, but I really appreciate it. Here's a copy of my risk assessment that I've just done, and I've also got a copy of the Fusilade safety data sheet here as well. As you can see from my risk assessment, is for the handling and use of the Fusilade near the rivers and parks, and I was hoping that you can have a look through the risk assessment and go through it with me, seeing you're the best person for feedback.
Yep, no worries. I'm happy to look at it. I've had a quick read already though. You've clearly identified all the hazards involved, especially the direct contact, inhalation that requires, that comes aboard, that arises during the mixing and spraying of it. The environmental considerations, you seem to identify them quite well, which is critical for this location.
Oh, that's good to hear. I was a bit worried that I'd missed something out. I tried to be as thorough as possible, sort of focusing on the hierarchy of controls, starting with engineering where I could, and then obviously administrative, PPE and things like that.
Yeah, just remember your PPE is the last line that you look at.
Yeah.
On the administration. That you really follow that hierarchy.
Okay.
So you've also noted specific things for drift reduction, buffer zones, your monitoring plans, etc., with clear responsibilities assigned to different people with their task role specifics.
Yep, as you can see, I've got it here for you to also have a look at.
Yep.
Thanks, Shane. While I'm confident with what I've put together, I know you've got invaluable feedback and knowledge about these chemicals and their operations. I'd really appreciate your feedback with the suitability of the controls that I've put in place, and if you have any further recommendations.
Overall, your controls cover and address specific risks. Using premix formulations as a substitution control, that's a great idea.
Yep.
Can be overlooked, most definitely, but significantly reduce your exposure.
I'm glad that you picked up on that, because that's something that I really wanted to include in this report.
And looking at spraying, you drift onto non-target areas. You've got some strong engineering controls and procedures, like monitoring wind. One thing you could really do to increase this section, and it ties into an 8-hour weighted average exposure standard, is to consider implementing maybe a buddy system or a 2-person team for spraying operations in sensitive areas.
A buddy system? That's not a bad idea. What do you mean by the buddy system?
So during an 8-hour workday, you could have your guys one act as a spotter for the first 4 hours while the first person sprays, and then they switch roles for the second half of the shift, and that then allows less interaction between each of them with contact with the pesticide.
Yeah.
And obviously I'll be able to help with the public in monitoring how much drift you have across area, and control your PPE.
Okay.
The fact that they were able to change out after 4 hours and not be potentially soaked in specific PPE attire.
Okay, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought about that. Having a dedicated spotter would really enhance the ability to react to changes in the wind, and obviously public, if they come in within our buffer zones that we've got set up as well, it'll safeguard the environment, the public, and obviously our workers.
Yeah, it's just an extra layer of safety, especially when you're dealing with public spaces and waterways.
Yeah.
Your cleaning and of your spraying equipment. Obviously got somewhere where you can take it back to, where you can clean it and wash it down with a specific bundled area. Obviously, do you have specific cleaning agents to clean it with? Specific degrees or a detergent recommended by the herbicide manufacturer for equipment cleaning?
Actually, that's a good point. I hadn't actually thought of that. I just assumed that everyone used like a standard detergent, but the manufacturer might have a specific one on their safety data sheet, so I'll look into that, because that kind of falls under administrative controls. It'll make it less hazardous but equally as clean if we use their suggested cleaner.
Definitely. So small details often make a bigger difference in your overall risk and your exposure time. On those 2 points, this is very well structured and comprehensive. I can't see any great aspects that need to be changed or enhanced during your risk assessment. It looks quite thorough.
Thanks, Shane. I really appreciate your feedback, and that buddy system and the detergent are really great ideas. Thank you very much for your help.
Anytime, thank you.
No worries.